Hey, entrepreneurs, let's talk about a very expensive form of dopamine seeking. A very expensive way to get your dopamine is refresh checking. And because we're in this crypto bull market super cycle, as I'm recording this right now, I've been getting a lot of questions from some of the entrepreneurs I work with about, well, shouldn't I allocate some of my time that usually would go to business to doing some active trading because, my friend made six figures in 3 days. And so I'm thinking I could make more money doing that than my business. Should I switch some of my attention there? So that's a decision each of you has to make separately based on your analysis of how much do you earn per hour in your business, considering that sometimes you can ratchet the effort you put in and have payments come back to you for years from work on business. And how much alpha do you have from specialized mastermind groups or mentors who have inside knowledge about some of the tech behind some of the blockchain projects? So there's a lot of those things that go into this consideration. But what I want to challenge you to recognize today is just how expensive that dopamine is when you're getting it from refresh checking, where it's not about that, should I make the trade? It's more like the dopamine rush that we get from clicking to see whether the thing that you already invested in is up or down. A simple hack to get back that time, because we know that context switching dramatically reduces your productivity on everything else, is to just set up trade alerts. If you really want to know, if it goes below this level, I want to know, then use something like TradingView, set up a trade alert, and then get back to work so that you don't have to keep checking. Now you're going to notice the instinct, the impulse pulling you to go check, whether that's options trading or regular stocks or crypto that you're investing in. You're going to feel like you want to check that. And it's because you get this sense of dopamine that is not a sense of dopamine. You actually have dopamine released in your brain whenever you think of going to check. Because remember, dopamine is the molecule of motivation more so than it is the molecule of reward. And so if you want to turn down the distraction factor that comes from active trading, then you want to recognize this and just accept that this is how your brain is wired, is that you're going to feel energized by the idea of going to check. And it's whether it's up or down, it's this sense of, I could discover a reward. In fact, if you look at how casinos design things like slot machines, they're actually designed to give you a random sort of reward, a random time scale, random amount, because what's been discovered in animal models first, and then it was later discovered the same applies to the human brain, is that an unknown reward in terms of amount and timing is far more addicting than if you get a certain stable reward per effort. So for example, if you give rats a little reward, like release a food pellet they like every 7 times they press a little bar in their cage, they're less motivated by that than if it's sometimes 3 times, sometimes 15 times they have to press the bar. Sometimes it releases 3, sometimes it releases 16 pellets. That's far more addicting. In another research study with people, when the first prize reward was known in advance for some runners, to whoever crossed that finish line first gets X dollars, they were less motivated, trained less hard than in the scenario where it was unknown until after they had won what the prize was going to be. And that doesn't really make sense. If you don't even know what you're going to win, why would you try harder to get that? It's because of the nature of the unknown and the excitement that pulls us towards that. And so there's this unknown when you're about to click to check, did the stock or the crypto I invested in go up or down? That unknown actually makes it exciting. And so it pulls this dopamine, but it's expensive dopamine because it pulls you away from the things that are really going to pay you over the long term. So I want to remind you of something. The fact that you have funds to invest in crypto or anything else is because you have done the disciplined work to build cash flowing assets like businesses in the past. And so it's easy to say, well, I can make 6 figures overnight, but you can only do that because you have been successful at business, right? And so the same thing's going to be true about the bull cycles that are going to happen 3 years from now and 12 years from now, is that if you generate cash over long periods of time, month after month, and you have that excess cash available to be able to invest, well, then we don't want to discount that as, well, because it's not as quick, therefore it's not as much, because in reality, in most cases, it's far more. and you have far less risk of losing it all compared to active trading. So there's your challenge for this week, is just to recognize that pull to go check. Try to reduce refresh checking. It's okay to do some trading, but create some rules for yourself in advance. Like, I will only check the markets 3 times per day, or I will only check them once per week. I will always go through this little checklist that I've written for myself to remind myself to keep position sizes small enough to where they don't distract me and cause me to continuously feel like I have to check to avoid losing everything. Have a few rules for yourself like that. Just slow down to just think for 5 minutes. Jot down a few rules for yourself on a piece of paper. Set up those trading alerts so you can tell yourself, it's okay, when I'm finished working, I'll go check those prices if I'm just curious and interested. But during the day when I'm focused, I'll rely on those trading alerts to let me know if I need to go take some sort of action. Talk to you again soon.